Welcome to Global Trends. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Imagine the global web that brings goods to your doorstep, ships, ports, trade routes, all suddenly grinding to a halt. Today, we're diving into the 7 major ports that have blocked U.S. shipments, sparking global trade chaos. This isn't a distant problem, it's happening now, with consequences for the U.S. economy and the world. We'll break down which ports are involved, why they've taken this drastic step, and what it means for you. The implications are staggering: supply chains disrupted, shelves empty, prices rising. This is more than a headline, it's a seismic shift in the global landscape. Buckle up as we explore this unprecedented crisis. Our journey begins at Shanghai, the world's busiest container port and the heart of global manufacturing. For years it's been the main gateway for Chinese goods to the U.S. Now it's closed to U.S.-bound shipments. Officially, new regulations and inspections are to blame, but many see this as a strategic move in a larger geopolitical game. The port, once a symbol of cooperation, is now a tool of economic pressure. Trucks and ships are stalled, and supply chains relying on just-in-time delivery are collapsing. U.S. retailers and manufacturers are scrambling as production lines for everything from smartphones to cars face shutdowns. The variety of goods stranded is staggering: electronics, medical supplies, textiles, furniture, essentials for daily life. Orders placed months ago may never arrive, leaving businesses with empty shelves and broken contracts. Small U.S. businesses are already feeling the pain. Factories near Shanghai are scaling back, warehouses are overflowing, and the entire logistics network is under strain. The economic fallout for China is real, but the risk appears calculated. For American consumers, shortages and price hikes are coming. Shanghai's move sets a dangerous precedent, weaponizing trade infrastructure on a global scale. The Dragon's Gate has closed, and the world is feeling the chill. This is the first, and perhaps most significant, move in a global trade standoff. Next we head to Rotterdam, Europe's largest port and the continent's trade gateway. Rotterdam's decision to block U.S. shipments signals the crisis has spread beyond Asia. Officially, it's about regulatory and customs issues, but the timing suggests a coordinated response. This move severs a primary artery between the U.S. and Europe, disrupting transatlantic trade. German cars, French luxury goods, Italian food, stuck on the docks or piling up in warehouses. European industries rely on American components. Now, production is threatened and financial losses mount. The interconnectedness that once fueled prosperity is now a point of failure. Inland, barges and trains run empty, and the pain spreads far from the coast. For the U.S., Rotterdam's closure is a devastating blow, choking off a market worth hundreds of billions. American farmers and manufacturers face an uncertain future. The crisis is no longer bilateral, it's a full-blown global trade standoff. Europe is now directly in the fray, raising the stakes for everyone. Rotterdam's move transforms this from a U.S.-China issue to a worldwide economic crisis. The ripple effects are immediate and severe. The gateway to Europe is now a barrier. Our third stop is Singapore, a critical node in global maritime trade and a key transshipment hub. Singapore's halt of U.S. shipments is a strategic shock, disrupting logistics far beyond its shores. Officially, it's about enhanced security, but many see a diplomatic smokescreen. Singapore's neutrality is gone. The risks of inaction outweighed the risks of joining the blockade. The disruption is unique. Cargo from Australia, Southeast Asia and India is stranded, with efficient routes to the U.S. cut off. Shipping companies scramble to reroute, but alternatives are costly and unreliable. Southeast Asian economies reliant on Singapore as a gateway are stalled. The blockade isolates a huge portion of Asia's manufacturing base from its largest consumer. Even nations committed to free trade are being drawn into this conflict. The closure of Singapore sends a clear message: no part of the global trade network is safe. The world's most efficient port is now a choke point. The chaos is spreading. The crisis hits home at the Port of Los Angeles, America's busiest port. Here the disruption is internal. Dockworker unions and operators have halted U.S. exports, citing hazardous conditions and logistical chaos. The influx of empty containers and global blockades have made safe, efficient loading impossible. This de facto blockade prevents American goods, agriculture, machinery, technology, from reaching global markets. Farmers watch harvests rot, manufacturers lose access to buyers, and livelihoods are threatened. The port's closure exposes a critical vulnerability. Reliance on a few major ports makes the U.S. susceptible to both foreign and domestic disruptions. American-made goods sit idle, unable to leave the country. The irony is stark. While other nations block U.S. shipments, the U.S. can't ship its own goods out. The disruption now flows both ways across the Pacific. The crisis is no longer just an import problem, it's a full-circle breakdown. The Port of Los Angeles is a symbol of how global chaos becomes local pain. The gridlock is a self-inflicted wound. America's export engine has stalled. Back to Europe, Hamburg, Germany's largest port, and a vital hub for Central and Eastern Europe. Hamburg joins Rotterdam in blocking U.S. shipments, citing new EU directives and regulatory conflicts. This isn't an isolated move, it's a unified European strategy. Germany's industrial giants, cars, machinery, chemicals, are cut off from the U.S. market. Finished products pile up, production schedules are in chaos, and financial losses mount. The blockade also blocks critical American imports, threatening Germany's manufacturing engine. Landlocked countries relying on Hamburg are now cut off from U.S. trade. The economic tremors reach deep into Europe. Hamburg's participation solidifies a European front in the crisis. Transatlantic relations have shifted from partnership to confrontation. The closure of Hamburg and Rotterdam is a strategic squeeze on U.S. trade. Germany's industrial heart is faltering. In Dubai, the Jebel Ali port, busiest in the Middle East, joins the blockade. Dubai's move is a dramatic pivot for a city built on open trade. The port is the main entry for American goods to the Gulf and beyond. Now, that supply line is cut. Shortages and rising costs ripple through the region. The port is also key for U.S. military logistics. Commercial disruption creates new challenges. Energy and commodity flows are bottlenecked, adding to global turmoil. Dubai risks its reputation as a neutral business hub, signaling a shift in Middle Eastern alignments. The crisis now touches every major region. The closure of Jebel Ali is a powerful message. The economic conflict is truly global. The crossroads of trade is now a roadblock. Our final stop, Hong Kong, once a bastion of free trade and a bridge between China and the world. Now Hong Kong aligns with Shanghai, blocking U.S. shipments and ending its era of autonomy. The move shatters its reputation as a stable business hub, accelerating the exodus of companies seeking certainty. U.S. and international firms based in Hong Kong now face operational nightmares. The city's role as a global logistics and financial center is in jeopardy. The blockade traps businesses between home markets and host city. Hong Kong's decision is a somber echo of larger forces at play. The city that thrived on openness is now an instrument in a global trade war. The lights of Victoria Harbor remain bright, but the shadow of crisis looms. An era has ended. 7 pillars of global trade, Shanghai, Rotterdam, Singapore, Los Angeles, Hamburg, Dubai, Hong Kong, have slammed shut to U.S. shipments. This is a coordinated global event plunging supply chains into chaos. The world faces empty shelves, rising prices, and production stoppages. The long-term consequences, a fundamental realignment of global trade and a new era of economic nationalism. Ports and shipping lanes are now front lines in a new kind of conflict. The era of seamless globalization may be over. What happens next is uncertain, but the story is far from over. Stay tuned as we track every development in this historic crisis.